What's going on? HeirofCarthage here. Should I say, what the crap's going on? Here's me trying to manually target the Hellcannon. You can see there I'm trying to actually pick that shot up. Look, I actually got it hovering like just above the ground. Look at it waffling around everywhere. You can actually get a little bit of extra range off of it. So you all asked me to try and use the Hellcannon in an actual battle. Now my opponent here starts off pretty stationary, probably because he expects Chaos not to have any range component whatsoever. So he has two handgunners and some great swords. Great pick against Chaos because they are quite cost effective. But I am manually targeting my Hellcannon now. My first couple of shots weren't all that brilliant, so I'm going to have to keep trying because he's now approaching me. He does have a couple of demigryphs out here I have to be aware of. My army is 4 Chaos Warriors with great weapons, 2 Chaos Warriors with halberds. I have whatever his name, well, I'll try and pronounce it in a minute when I can actually look at it. I have the Everwatcher, which he sucks because he's Lore of Metal, and Lore of Metal by default stinks pretty hard. Yeah, that right there paid off a significant portion of my Hellcannon because I just put a massive hit on one of the great swords. So I'm going to continue manually targeting. He's bringing up a feral manticore from his Lore of Beast, or Lore of Wild, whatever it is. Another brilliant hit right here, but this one was just a swordsman, unfortunately. I was thinking I was aiming at a great sword, but not really. But I mean, you can see that when the Chaos Hellcannon does hit, it's absurdly powerful. And I'm going to keep using the manual targeting until he gets close enough that I actually have to concentrate. He's flying his manticore straight towards me, so I did get a little bit worried at this point. Honestly, I should have just kept manually targeting. I took a shot at his manticore and missed, and I was like, yeah, whatever. So I've got my Chaos Knights with lances because they have a bonus versus large, and I'm keeping them right next to my Hellcannon, and I've also got halberds to help against Empire Cavalry. So I didn't want to spend too much on Chaos Knights because they're very expensive, and they don't trade real well with most Empire Cavalry units. So I only brought one so that I would have an easier time controlling them. And then I've got the Everwatcher here. He's like a giant velociraptor, basically. This guy is pretty sweet looking. He's pretty strong for being a wizard. His biggest problem, like I said, is that he has the Lore of Metal, which is essentially worthless. So he's going to go in for my Hellcannon straight away. Now, fortunately, the Hellcannon's unbreakable, so I just charge right in with my Chaos Knights, and I'm going to start wrecking his Feral Manticore. I could charge the Everwatcher in, but I don't want to because I don't want him to get back-smacked by these two Griffins, so I'm keeping him facing the Griffins. He's got a lot of hit points, he's pretty strong, and I have a special ability on him that gives him 22% physical resistance for 67 seconds, so it would basically make him a little bit stronger still. So I'm getting some brutal hits with my Hellcannon. I've already got 65 kills on it. This is forcing the Empire player to come forward, and as he does come forward, I bum rush him so that his handgunners can't get time to work. And then I'm chasing out his Manticore, and this forces down his Lord over here. And as his Lord comes down, I'm able, look at that, just brutal hit. That was not manually targeted. So I got a fantastic hit right there from the Hellcannon. My Chaos Knights have done a great job of basically killing the Manticore. It's forced away and then driving back his mounted units. You can see the Everwatcher here pushing back the General of the Empire, doing significant damage to him very quickly. Another brutal hit from the Hellcannon. I'm getting some really nice shots right here. Again, manually targeting this right now would probably still be okay as long as I left some units back here to guard it, which I have. But I'm trying to micro the rest of the battle, so I've got my Chaos spawn in to help destroy the swordsman quicker. There's some great swords back in the reserve and some halberds as well. But I want to try and punch through the Empire infantry just as absolutely quickly as I can. And I don't know what he's thinking out here. He's held back these demigryphs with halberds, and he needs them badly right now. He could be going after the Everwatcher. I am keeping units around both the cannon and the Everwatcher, though, in order to guard against this. His Feral Manticore is being sent in haphazard again. You can see that my Chaos Warriors with great weapons are actually doing extremely well, supported by the Chaos spawn. And I'm actually breaking through the great swords. So his Feral Manticore lands again, and my Chaos Knights are all over it, and I'm just kind of keeping the Everwatcher back at a safe distance, and I'm keeping a unit of halberds near him so that if his winged creatures try and come in and out for charges, they will fail. So that's my goal right now. I'm going to ward off his attacks. His handgunners have not been able to pull back and start firing, and right here when they finally do, I see what they're doing, and I'm just going to use the mass of these Chaos spawn just to plow through his lines and come up here and wreck these handgunners so that they can't get the shots they need. So you always got to try and use the mass of units like that to your advantage. I start firing at his demigryphs and land a direct hit again with the cannon again. This is not even me targeting, but because I have I have a chevron on this thing, it becomes more accurate, and it's going to keep firing at this point. And because his guys are stationary, it doesn't have to aim, and it's firing a lot quicker. You can see that obviously it misses a lot more often. So at this point, I've used Transmutation of Lead on the Empire troops. I've used a few spells from the Everwatcher, mostly Transmutation of Lead, and then there's another one that he can cast on them that drops like their attack and stuff. That's the only useful spells really with the Lore of Metal. It's a pretty useless lore in general. I'm going to cast it again through here. Yeah, okay, this is Transmutation of Lead. The other one was like Plague of Rust, I think is what it was. So I'm affecting his great swords that were in the combat here, and that's good for me because it's going to help my Chaos Warriors with great weapons do even better. Now he finally brings his demigryphs with halberds over, and he's able to deal with my Chaos Spawn, who were otherwise absolutely wrecking. I'm still targeting them, though, with the Chaos Hellcannon, getting quite a few kills there. And the Hellcannon is unbreakable, like I said, so it can take a pretty good beating, and as long as there's a few Chaos Dwarves to man it, they'll be alright. And you can see here that he tried to get to my cannon with the demigryph, so I stopped his charge with a Chaos Knight and then pinned him in with the Chaos Warriors with halberds. So I'm able to easily dispatch his demigryph Knights here in what would have otherwise been a slaughter. So my Chaos Knights lasted long enough to get the job done there, fortunately. But yeah, his infantry has not done well. The combination of Chaos with great weapons, being a relatively tough infantry as is, and then being supported all this time by Chaos Spawn, I was able to wreck his infantry, and then of course I was using the Plague of Rust and Final Transmutation, or Transmutation of Lead, not Final Transmutation. So yeah, again, those two spells on the Lore of Metal are decent. The rest of the Lore of Metal spells are pretty craptacular. I did see this handgunner reform and it starts firing. Concerns me a little bit. There's not a ton of men left here. I did notice it, and so I'm going to use the Everwatcher, and I was like, you know, surely the bombardment spell will at least be able to take out a damaged unit of handgunners, so that was my thought. I'm firing at his lord because he was sitting still, but then he started moving again. So yeah, here I come. Here comes the Everwatcher. I'm going to come in here and chase the Empire General, or the General of the Empire. I'm going to chase him in and try and do some damage. He's got healing potions, obviously. But the Everwatcher can cause a lot of damage, but with these two units here, the General of the Empire is going to turn around and cause a lot of damage to me too, so I'm going to need to use my special ability here in a moment so that I can try and maintain this fight for longer, because as you can see, I'm taking a lot of damage here, more than I would like to. So there I've used the Scroll of Shielding, so it's going to give me extra damage resistance. I should have used it sooner, while I still had more hit points left, so it was kind of a waste. I've already hit this unit with the bombardment, actually, and it didn't get rid of it, so I missed the bombardment earlier. He brought his regrouped demigryph Knights back here into my my cannon while I wasn't paying attention, so I'm going to bring my halberds over, and we're going to be able to deal with the regrouped demigryph Knights, and then I'm able to bring these next halberds up, so the Everwatcher starts getting his crap kicked in by two griffins. So I have to kind of run away from that situation, and I'm going to put him right in the center of these halberds. He's probably still going to die just because of the charge. The flying units really can't be blocked, but I can support him now with the halberds. You can see how bad he gets knocked around by these other units. So this is unfortunate for the Everwatcher that he gets pushed around this easy. It's going to make him a lot less effective in combat, whereas I'm guessing these griffins don't get pushed around near as easy. But yeah, with the halberds here to support the Everwatcher, he does die, but I've managed to catch these guys in combat, and they're not going to be able to get away. The halberds are going to be able to significantly pin them here and really dish some serious damage, which causes the General of the Empire and the other Griffin to rout. So actually a chaos victory here. Now, my opponent made a lot of mistakes. He didn't use his demigryphs early enough or in the right way. I did have the proper counters, though. I mean, I had Chaos Warriors with halberds. I had one mobile unit myself, and I actually had better range capability in this case because of the Hellcannon. So this is actually the first time I've ever used the Hellcannon and had it be effective. I don't believe it's going to be effective in every battle, but if you manually target it, at least part of the time, I think it can be effective in the sense that you can force your opponent to attack you and then try and have the momentum, basically. So if you're forcing your opponent to come to you, you're probably more likely to click the right attack orders and to get all the right stuff that you need in there. My opponent's army here seems like it's kind of small. Did he have a full army? 2 great swords, 2 demigryphs, Amber Wizard, General of the Empire. I mean, I think he did. Let's go take a look. Custom battle. Let's switch over to the Empire, and let's just make sure. So we had a General of the Empire. He was on a Griffin. He had the healing potions. We had an Amber Wizard. He was on a Griffin. I may have to adjust his price. He had 2 halberdiers and 2 handgunners. And sure enough, he had 2 demigryphs, so that was a full army. He had basically probably just come in here and cut some of the spells off here. I don't know which ones it would have been, but like Doom Flock or whatever else. I can just cut spells basically until the price works, and so I get to spawn. Yeah, I mean, so this would work here. So that was a full army. Wow. I don't agree with the choice of the swordsman whatsoever. You would have been better off to just bring 1 more great sword rather than the 3 swordsmen, because they're just, what are they going to do against chaos? They can't armor pierce, and most chaos infantry is heavily armor piercing. They're not good against large. Chaos brings large, so I definitely disagree with the pick of the swordsman. Halberdiers, not a bad pick, because they're good against large and they're decent against infantry that is well armored. So this is actually not necessarily a bad pick. In fact, if he wanted to save money, let's say if we rearrange this a bit, he could have gone for a line of halberdiers here, and then he would have still had some more money left over to maybe spend on a 3rd handgunner. So he could have gotten some more work done with the handgunner. And what the line of halberdiers, the Amber Wizard can spawn a feral manticore, which can be useful. But if you think about it, you're probably going to have flying, like the air superiority versus chaos. I mean, it's pretty rare that they would pick a chaos dragon or something like that. So I'm thinking if you ditched the Amber Wizard, went with the Bright Wizard, put him up on a Pegasus, and then you adjusted your spells to where, you might want Fireball. If you got rid of the Flaming Head because it's too unpredictable, and I mean Vortex, the Flamestorm Vortex, probably not going to use this. You could ditch it, and that saves you quite a bit of money. You could even pick up another Spearman at this point, so you make your army even bigger. And so at this point, what you could do is use your halberdiers, and you could go in here. Now, granted, this is going to leave you a little bit weak. Almost maybe think 5 halberdiers would be enough. That way you could pick up an Empire Captain, and you'd want to try and get some healing potions on this guy. I mean, you wouldn't even need stuff like this, so you could save a little bit of money just to get the 2 healing potions. There you go. 147, 69. Okay, so whatever, you can still get that ability even though it's not that important. So yeah, you get yourself an Empire Captain, the 5 halberdiers, and then the Empire Captain can help dish some extra damage out. You could even put him on a Pegasus if you wanted to. You could readjust your money a little bit. You got some anti-large capability. I like this versus Chaos. You could always option the handgunner out of the army because it may get hard to control 3 of these guys. 2 might be enough. So again, you could adjust the cost a little bit here and end up with another halberdier. You could work this army a little bit, and I think that it would be a lot more well suited. And the reason why I picked the Bright Wizard, the Light Wizard would be pretty decent at this too, and so would the Celestial Wizard, as we saw. But I think the Bright Wizard here is going to do a good job of being able to come in with stuff like the Flaming Sword of Ruin. This one's pretty nice and helpful, and then this Cascading Fire Cloak is actually really good too. It gives your guys way more armor piercing damage, which versus Chaos is extremely helpful, and you get the extra melee defense. So I find this to be a really nice one. It only lasts for 19 seconds, but it's only 5 mana. You almost can't go wrong with this one. So I really like the Cascading Fire Cloak, and if we go take a look too, do they have an Overcast version? The Cascading Fire Cloak, it does not, and then the Flaming Sword of Ruin does have an Overcast version that lasts for 34 seconds, but it also comes with the chance of a miscast. So, but yeah, it would basically be the same as casting it twice, but for only 50% more mana rather than 100% more, so it could be worth it. Anyway, hope y'all enjoyed this. What do you think in the comments? Do you think that the Hellcannon can be made viable on a frequent basis? Again, I know my opponent made some mistakes, but, I mean, you should be able to get at least 2 or 3 shots with it, maybe even more while your opponent's coming in. You can force them to come in and attack it frantically, which I think works in your favor. But tell me what you think. Obviously, I think in general the Empire has a lot more tools than Chaos, but I just felt like this gave me an interesting tool in this battle. HeirofCarthage, signing out.